Hi guys! So what I was thinking of doing right now was going through number 2 on your homework for 10-2 graphing quadratic equations so that maybe you can follow along and see where all this is coming from and how we're going to get the type of graph that we're looking for. So in this lesson we learned a new mini formula, and that's negative b over 2a. Now, negative b over 2a is our mini formula, and the big fancy math term for that is the x-coordinate of the vertex. But all that means is this is going to be our first input when we make our chart. We're looking for our first input so we know where to start and how to go up and down from there. We are going to use the standard form of the equation ax, that looks like a cube, ax squared plus bx plus c to try to figure out what this negative b over 2a is going to be. In this equation, there is nothing by the x squared, which means our a is 1. By the x, we have a 4, so b is 4. And we have negative 3 right here, or subtracting 3, which is the same as adding negative 3. So our a is 1, our b is 4, and our c is negative 3. Then we're going to plug in b, and we're going to plug in a, and we're going to get negative 4 over 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2, so that's negative 2 over 1, which is just negative 2. This formula right here, this negative b over 2a, that's going to be the formula that you use whenever you are graphing a parabola. So you're going to want to have that handy whenever you're going to be graphing. You'll probably want to memorize it eventually, but right now, since it's brand new, you're going to want to have it to the side. And then you may also want to have this ax squared plus bx plus c in order to help as well. And that looks like stuff from the other class. Sorry that that's there. We're going to scoot to the side. Since we have our first input as negative 2, we're going to make a chart. Never done this before. Let's see if it works. Alright, so we're going to make a chart. Ooh, cool. And what we're going to want in our chart, never mind, this is harder than it looks. We're going to make a chart, and in our chart, we are going to have an x column. We're going to have a y column, but we're also going to have a column for our equation, which was, let's look back, x squared plus 4x minus 3. And in the middle, we're going to pick negative 2. Negative 2, that number that we found using that equation, is going to be our starting point. What you want to do after you have your starting point is you want to pick the two numbers that are smaller than that number. So we're going to pick negative 3 and negative 4. Because if you do negative 2 minus 1, you get negative 3, and negative 3 minus 1, you get negative 4. So it's very similar to what we've done in the past with lines, except for we have to go 2 above and 2 below. So those were our 2 that were less than negative 2, and then we want 2 that are greater than negative 2, which will be, negative 1 and 0. So we picked those numbers because we started at negative 2, and then we went 2 in this direction, and then we went 2 in this direction. From there, you're going to want to actually do the problem that's here, and because my handwriting is not good, I'm just going to type it in the box. So we have negative 4 times negative 4 plus 4 times negative 4 minus 3. And so if we look and start to do that, negative 4 squared, so negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16, and then we're subtracting 3. 16 plus negative 16 is 0. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. And we're going to keep going and doing the same thing for these numbers here. So we have negative 3 squared, which is negative 3 times negative 3, plus 4 times negative 3 minus 3. That's the same as negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12 minus 3. 9 plus negative 12 is negative 3. Negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. For our negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 plus 4 times negative 2 minus 3. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 minus 3. 4 plus negative 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7. Okay, so the last two, you're going to notice a pattern when we do this. And you are always going to want to go through and actually do all 5 to make sure that you're doing it correctly, but you'll see in a second why we'll be able to tell immediately if we did it right or not. So for x squared, we have negative 1 squared, which is negative 1 times negative 1, plus 4 times negative 1 minus 3. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. And we're going to subtract 3. 1 plus negative 4 is negative 3. Negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. Look at that. Next, we have 0. So we have 0 squared, 0 times 0, plus 4 times 0 minus 3. That's 0 plus 0 minus 3. And that gets us negative 3, which is the same as this number. So when you're graphing a parabola, if you follow these steps, what you should be getting is the mirror image on both sides. You're starting here. The reason that we had to do all of that equation-y stuff over here, doing this to get our first input, was so that we would make sure that this is our vertex, that it is our highest or lowest point, the one that splits the parabola exactly in half. And then the other points are going to kind of go out around that. So let's make a graph. It's going to be kind of ugly because I'm going to be drawing it by hand, but I'm going to try my best. Here we go. Oh, and that will not draw nice lines, so I'm even more suffering. It's all right. Okay, so there's our coordinate plane, and we want to graph negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, 1, and 0. So here's negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, and 0. And the numbers that we're going to be graphing are negative 3, negative 6, negative 7. So we're really focusing down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now let's make sure all the graphing things go in the right place. I'll start with the vertex. Negative 2, negative 7. I'll graph it in blue. Here's negative 2, right here. And negative 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is down here. So I have my first point there. I'm going to graph these next 2 points, negative 3, negative 6, and negative 1, negative 6. Negative 3, negative 6 is right here. And negative 1, negative 6 is right here. Then our last 2 points are negative 4, negative 3, and 0, negative 3. Negative 4, negative 3 is right here, and 0, negative 3 is right here. So now we have a curve that looks kind of like this. So instead of the straight lines or the bent lines or the V's that we got yesterday, we're going to have an actual curve because we followed through with this. And the reason that we can do this and have this pretty curve is because we started with this right here, this negative b over 2a, which gives us our very first input, the coordinate of the vertex. That point, that's going to be either the maximum or the minimum right there. That was the whole goal of that starting point. Once you have the starting point, the rest of it is pretty standard, what we're used to. It's just getting that starting point that's new.